this is Ced Banner, and this is my review of Wonder Woman 1984. We were supposed to have seen this, of course, back in May. It was supposed to be I believe, the first summer blockbuster of 2020. And then, of course, Rona came in, and you know the rest. DC, of course, has had a lot of misses. They've had a few hits. And one of their biggest hits has been Wonder Woman, starring Gal Gadot. It came out 3 years ago, so it's been a 3-year wait for the sequel. It was a huge success at the box office and critically acclaimed. I really liked the film. Although it did have a few flaws, you know, it was very solid, and I felt like it really displayed a lot of DC's strengths and what I love about DC. And it also really showed Wonder Woman as this comparable hero to the poster boy of DC, Superman. But did it in her own way and gave her like one of the flaws with the first one was, though, that she was presented in such a powerful way as this Amazonian goddess that it kind of felt like she was a little too indestructible. You didn't really see struggle. You didn't really see a way for her to have any problems. It's just like she came in, wrecked everything, and she was out, regardless of who she was against. So, of course, when the trailers came out for Wonder Woman 1984, there was a lot of chatter amongst fans, DC and film fans alike, of, okay, we've seen her defeat a god. Now we're going to watch her fight this woman who turns into a cheetah. It's like you're moving backwards. And I kind of felt the same way. I will say that with this film, it was done in a way that it made the battle between Cheetah and Wonder Woman make sense. And I appreciate it. Of course, there is a segment of film fans and comic fans now that they annoy me. They annoy me, but they exist. And it's mostly the men that, you know, complain about anything that puts women in a powerful light, that seems to put men down. They call a lot of the films now political trash or girl power propaganda. And listen, I agree. There has been a lot of it. You know, for example, the now infamous scene in the final battle of Avengers Endgame. You know which one I'm talking about, with Captain Marvel and all the girls. That was too much, and it was corny, and it took away from the film. But when you're dealing with an actual hero like Wonder Woman, I feel like it's necessary to show that power, because that is the hero for a lot of little girls. You know, a lot of us forget that we used to be kids and we had heroes that we identified with. So I get that part too. I will say that Patty Jenkins, in my opinion, does a great job of not making these films preachy. She delivers a message for women and for men alike. That's my opinion. And I feel like this film did a good job of it. The plot is good. It's good. It's not great. It's not without flaw. But I do feel like it was done in a way to where we were able to see two different villains develop, and then we kind of got them out of the way. That's all I'll say. But while doing this, the purpose that they served and their storyline served, was showing a growth within Diana, within Wonder Woman, that we did not get. Desperate. And I think that's good to do in these films. I think sometimes villains need to be something a little different. This was a villain who was desperate, and that desperation drove him to become who he became. And the same thing with Kristen Wiig's character, Cheetah. She was more so formed out of desperation. These two characters needed each other at different times, and that desperation drove them to the climax at the end of the film. Kristen Wiig, I thought, did an outstanding job. She's normally known for her comedic roles. This was not comedic at all, maybe a little bit in the beginning, but that was it. But I thought that she didn't come off as trying too hard. She didn't come off as corny. It felt very authentic, and I thought she played very well off of Gal Gadot's Diana. Pacing for this film was one of my cons. The film is about 2.5 hours long, and I felt like at least an hour of the film, mostly in the beginning, the narrative and establishing the characters and the plot, it just felt like it was kind of erratic. You know, you had a big action scene that was kind of crazy and, you know, highlighting things from the 80s, all this nostalgia, and then boom, a little bit of a little bit of narrative, a little bit of character development, and I don't know, it's hard to explain. It just didn't feel like it was put together. Like there were maybe a handful of scenes, action and otherwise, that could have been left out. They felt like they had nothing to really do with the film overall. It didn't really drive the plot forward. I felt like the film probably could have been about 30 to 40 minutes shorter. One of the complaints that I heard a lot about the first one is that Wonder Woman didn't really show what she had been through, meaning when she fought, she came out, her hair wasn't messed up, costume, her uniform wasn't messed up. When she jumped in water and got out, she wasn't even wet, she was dry. And as I went back and rewatched, I saw what they were talking about. And yeah, it kind of, like I said, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the review. It kind of made her a little too godlike to even really enjoy watching in some instances. That's not the case here. I think they heard those complaints and they fixed it. Chris Pine is in this film, and if you saw the first one, you're probably wondering how. Yeah, he's in this one, and I'm, you know what, I think I was okay with it once it got to the end, towards the end of his part in the film. At first, I wasn't very happy about it. It felt kind of cheap, but it made more sense as the film went on. You may not feel that way, but I think it was necessary, once again, to show that human and that struggling side of the character Diana. There's nothing to write home about. They were good. They were solid, but I feel like this film was intentionally made to put more focus on the heroes, on the villains, it was more character driven. It was more character focused. And I don't think they want the special effects to really take away from it and make it so, blockbuster-ish that you weren't able to really take in any of the messages. The climax of the film is different. It's definitely different for superhero flicks. I feel like it was done in a way that it kind of shows the strength of DC that Marvel doesn't have. It shows that DC is able to give you a climatic scene, a great climatic scene, without all of the fireworks. Sometimes the fireworks is in the narrative, and you may or may not agree with the messages conveyed in the climax, but I felt like they were timely, and they were pretty good. They were pretty good. Once again, that segment of fanhood that I talk about, that's sick of all the girl power stuff, the man bashing as they call it, won't like Maxwell Lord's climax, won't like his art, but I feel like it was done to show a lot of what we are going through now in the real world, what kind of leads to that. And I'll just put it this way, I don't completely disagree. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this film. My rating for Wonder Woman 1984 is, it's a decent sequel, but not better than the first. Not really a misstep for DC. We know what a misstep by DC looks like. It's not that, but I feel like, in its quest to really evolve and set itself apart from the original, the first installment, it kind of got it wrong in some instances and got it right in some others. So that's why it's only a decent sequel. It's not great and it's not better than the first. Definitely worth watching, because let's be honest, what the hell else are you going to watch right now? So that concludes my review. Until next time, hey.